Hi, welcome. I'm Nira Berry, the happiness coach and your host of Happy and Healthy, where we explore and discover all the many ways of keeping you feeling happy and healthy. And remember to stay tuned to the end for my Good to Know segment, where I've always got something good to share with you. So today we're going to learn all about fire safety and everything we need to know to keep ourselves and our families and our homes safe. So please welcome my guest today. We have Jim Resnick, and we also have Karen Ely. And Jim is the program manager for Montgomery County Fire Rescue and also the Senior Outreach Services.
Yep.
And Jim, you're a retired battalion chief with over 40 years experience.
That's right.
As a career firefighter, volunteer firefighter, and EMT. Very, very impressive. Thank you for being here. And Karen, you're a third generation Montgomery County firefighter rescuer, and your firefighting heritage includes both your mother and your grandfather, and you're currently assigned to the Rockville Fire Station number 3 and currently on temporary detail with the community risk reduction.
Yeah. So it's a lot going on.
You've got a lot going on, yeah. So I so appreciate you being here, and I just wanted to mention this is something very near and dear to my heart because as a young child I was once in a really bad fire and in an apartment building, and thank you for the fire rescue services that came and saved me and my family at that time, and also my son served as an EMT in Montgomery County. I believe it was at Cabin John Station. So I feel very, very close with all of this, and I feel it's really important to get all this information out there so that we can all be happy and healthy.
So you like the happy, healthy part.
Yeah. So I thank you all for being here. And I know like Montgomery County is very unique that it's the Fire and Rescue Service is actually a combination fire department, right? Can you tell us a little about
Sure.
that?
So we are a very big and very busy fire department. In fact, if you look at nationwide, I think that we're number 12 or 14 or 15 in terms of the largest fire departments in the country. And that includes places like New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, these other huge fire departments, and we're on that list down a little ways. We have about 1.2 million residents in Montgomery County. We run about 120 to 130,000 calls for service every single year. That's a lot. That's like about a call every 3.5 or 4 minutes, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have about 2,700 total firefighters, EMTs, paramedics, and the like, and that's a combination of both volunteer and career. We're mostly a career-staffed fire department in Montgomery County. Most of the time when a fire engine, ambulance, whatever, pulls up, that's career firefighters, but they're supplemented by well-trained, experienced volunteers throughout different parts of the county.
Yeah, that's fascinating, and it's amazing, and how well run it is too. It's it's really a very premier service.
Well, and the idea is, as a citizen of the county myself, as a taxpayer in the county myself, I want the best possible help to arrive. If I've got an emergency, if a family member has an emergency, to that extent, the training, all the education requirements and so on for our career firefighters, which is some of the top training in the country, the expectation is the volunteers have the same abilities, the same training. Difference is the paycheck.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful to hear. So let's get right to it. Can you list some of the things that our residents can do, to keep themselves safe? Fire safety?
Sure. Along the lines of being happy and healthy, the happy part comes from our perspective when we know that people have working smoke alarms and in many cases working carbon monoxide alarms properly working and located throughout their home. There's been some recent updates to the Montgomery County and Maryland state laws where, as a bare minimum, we've got to have a working carbon monoxide alarm and a working smoke alarm on each level of the house.
So that's a law now?
Yes. Now, it's
not... On each level?
On each level. So if I have a standard colonial house with a basement, first floor, second floor, and the bedrooms are usually up on the second floor, I need at least 3 smoke alarms, 3 carbon monoxide alarms. One of the things you can do is get a combination where one unit does both jobs. Now, for newer homes, there could even be additional requirements where I got to have smoke alarms inside of each bedroom also. What you can do, there's some websites that we'll talk about later. People can consult that. They can call 311 to find out more information. But the bottom line is look up and know that you've got the working stuff. So the first thing that makes us happy is to make sure that people have working smoke alarms. The second thing is a plan. Okay? Know in advance if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm sleeping comfortably, everything's going great, but all of a sudden my smoke alarms or carbon monoxide alarm have alerted me that there's a problem in my home. Know in advance where you're going to go, how you're going to get there, where you're going to meet outside, and that you're going to call 911 as soon as you get outside. Those are the kinds of plans we want people to have. And then go ahead.
Do you have any suggestions as far as for plans? Like, let's say there's kids in different bedrooms. Like, would you assign like one parent to go to this bedroom, so that way there's like no wasted time?
Actually, Karen, you got thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, so in terms of the plan, yes, having a plan in advance where you've designated the roles and responsibilities. It may be an older sibling can be responsible for the youngers. Something along those lines. And most important is where we're going to meet outside.
So that way you know everybody's out.
Exactly.
Otherwise they'd have to go back in and possibly risk somebody's life.
I've been on calls, I'm sure Karen has been on calls where we've arrived at the scene of a home and there's no one out in front. And our fear there is, are people still trapped inside? Are they running around? Did someone have to jump out a back window? We want someone right in front of the house to say either we're all here and we're okay, or I'm here but someone else is missing.
Yeah.
And that changes our job. Instead of firefighting, we're now in that rescue mode, which is a lot more dangerous for us, but we'll take the appropriate risks.
So plan is really important.
Absolutely.
That's like
planning, and then also having some kind of a disaster kit. The weather is a real challenge these days here in the Washington area, throughout a lot of the rest of the country. In the wintertime, we're having more and more blizzards. During the summertime, we're having these torrential downpours, thunderstorms, and so on. We're subject to a lot of bad stuff. So in order to be ready for any kind of a disaster, be ready for severe weather. Have a plan with flashlights instead of candles. We don't like candles.
And also, like, they have those collapsible type of stairs or like ladders that you can like hang outside your window. What do you think about those?
So for fire safety, honestly, I would rather see people spend money on more smoke alarms than on one of those ladders. The reason being, going out of a ladder at 2 o'clock in the morning when it's sleeting outside in your nightgown is not a real good answer.
But if somebody's living in a high-rise or something, then...
So I'm glad you brought up high-rises. In any, what we call multifamily dwellings, and a multifamily dwelling is something that's not a 1 or 2 family home. So apartment buildings, condominiums, anything like that, there are specific requirements in terms of how the building is built, and then the type of fire detection and smoke alarm detection systems and things like that. In that high-rise building, there's supposed to be hardwired smoke alarms. They're supposed to be not only in your own apartment, but also out in the common hallway. Exactly.
I think in the stairwell as well.
Yep, and the stairwells have to be built to a fire code where those are as safe as anything. They're usually made out of cinder block and steel and things like that, which are likely not going to burn. So in high-rise buildings, you tend to be very, very safe. But again, we have to practice all levels of fire safety. Recently, we've had a very, very significant high-rise apartment fire, or it was a condominium in Kensington, not that far from where our studio is here. About 4:30 in the morning, it wound up being a 3-alarm fire, caused millions of dollars of damage, and very fortunately, there were only a few minor injuries.
Did they have the proper smoke alarms?
So there were smoke alarms. In that particular case, there was a delay in calling 911. The individual investigated the fire, then tried to fight the fire, and so on, without calling 911. And every second that we're not on the road coming to the problem is going to get worse exponentially, and that's what resulted in this particular situation.
Yeah, I know. Like I spoke with you earlier, Karen. Like when I was asking a question, you said like the first thing is just to get out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just get out.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. Get out and call 911. The faster we're there, the faster we can take care of whatever the problem is.
Yeah, that was good information. Just like trying to, rather than trying to fight it yourself, and whether or not people have fire extinguishers and then try to fight it themselves with that. Like I'm always like concerned, like, oh, do I have the fire extinguishers in the right places and everything? And so it's a revelation to me. Like rather than doing that, just get out.
Right.
So I think that's important. That's really
We're probably safer doing something we do all the time, which is get out.
Yeah.
I got out this morning when I left to come to work. I get out.
How about that?
Yeah.
You got out of the car.
I got out when I had to take the dog for a walk
Right.
this morning. So I'm used to
You're
the
used to
exiting
that.
thing. I'm not used to fighting a fire in my house.
Yeah.
So
Not trained.
therefore there's much greater risk. How are things actually going to work out for you?
Yeah.
Get out.
Get out. So are there, were you about to say another tip that you would recommend?
Yeah, and so going back to the disaster preparedness, having that kit that's available where it's somewhere near my front door, maybe in the front hall closet or something like that. It could be an older backpack, it could be a small suitcase with a change of clothes, maybe 2 days worth of change of clothes, flashlight, a battery-powered radio, a charger for my cell phone, maybe a little cash, piece of paper with names and phone numbers of friends, insurance company, things like that. And what did I forget this? Oh, water.
Water bottles.
Yeah, some non-perishable food, water.
So as you're saying that, I'm envisioning this bag getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
And it doesn't have to be, I'm not moving out of the house.
Yeah.
But maybe I have to move out for 2 or 3 days to get my feet back up after a flood, a fire, a long-term power outage in my neighborhood. Something has happened where I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Okay, and I've got to be able to go quickly and have the stuff I need. Now, if my house is on fire, I'm not gathering stuff. I'm getting out and calling 911. But this is for, a hurricane has come through,
see.
something like that.
Would you recommend that you can keep it in your car?
Not a bad idea. The one thing about having something in your car is the perishable foods and or non-perishable foods. How well are they going to do in heat? We know what chocolate does.
Yeah, definitely melts. Yeah. So, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, I'm going to ask you about what are some of the common causes of fires that you come across, and Karen, you're active firefighter at the moment. I'd love to. For you to address that, and then also as a mother, what you can tell families about, kids and what they should know and know. So
absolutely.
Okay, so great. So we're going to take a short break, and you're watching Happy and Healthy. I'm Nira Berry, your host. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Nira Berry, your host of Happy and Healthy, and we're going to continue our conversation about fire safety. And I wanted to ask Karen, you're an active firefighter, and so I wanted to ask you, what are some of the common causes of some of the fires in Montgomery County?
A lot of things that we see most of are going to be cooking fires, kitchen fires. Is where a lot of them start. Unattended food on the stove is, I would say, the #1 cause. The other thing that I see a lot is the vents inside the bathroom fans.
Oh, really?
Those I see all the time. I think there's been a lot in at least the last year that I've been listening, and they kind of burn up. And
the fan itself, or does it get clogged with dust, or
There's like a little, I guess like a motor in the fan, and it just people leave them on and leave the house, or leave them on for hours and hours, and the motor just is either old or gets burned up, and then just kind of goes off from there.
So if you turn it off, then you're okay, or?
Yeah, it's okay to leave it on for a little bit,
Yeah.
but just make sure you turn it off before you leave the house, or don't leave it on for too long.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Wow. So would you recommend people change the motors in the fans, or?
No, not
I mean,
necessarily.
that's not even something
Well,
that's even ever been on my radar.
For any electrical device or appliance, we always recommend that you know how it sounds when it's working correctly.
Yeah.
You know how, if I turn on a light, it's supposed to be a certain
Yeah.
kind of brightness. I'm not supposed to have unusual smells or sounds coming from things. And the way we like to describe it is that a lot of times electrical appliances are talking to you. They're saying, I'm broken, fix me,
Yeah.
stop using me, or something like that. So pay attention is the
Yeah.
the bottom line.
I think that's a good metaphor for life in general. Good advice for life in general. Like, pay attention. If you've got like a certain ache or something,
Absolutely.
check it out. So the same thing. Like, if you hear that something's not working right, check it out.
Yep.
Just getting back to the food. As far as like people leaving things on the stove, like do you recommend like maybe to follow certain procedures in the house that you tell everybody, like different family members, like your mother or your sibling?
Just when you're cooking in the kitchen, and don't ever leave it unattended. If you have to leave it unattended, have a family member, somebody come watch the food on the
just
stove.
turn it off.
Yep, or turn it off. When we are cooking dinner at the firehouse and we have to go run a call, somebody runs as fast as they can and turns off the stove, and then we go on our call. And so never, ever, ever leave it unattended.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've gotten in the habit also, even if I'm there, let's say I have the broiler on or something, that I just always put the timer on, even though I know, let's say it needs to be only 3 minutes. Like, something inevitably comes up and I'm distracted, and then the whole thing,
it does happen.
gets burnt, and luckily doesn't catch on fire, but it can. So use that. So that's really good. What other types of things you see? So first of all, I'm really surprised about the vents as being such a common thing, because I haven't heard of that. Cooking, obviously, but anything else that you see a lot?
Discarded cigarettes, cigarette butts that are kind of negligently discarded of. They a lot of times we see the mulch fires that spread to the house or the deck, if they're out on the back deck and they just kind of flick it off the deck. Then it goes up from there, which can extend to the house. But that's another one we see very, very often. Or even along those same lines, hot ashes from your fireplace or from your little fire pit out back. People kind of discard the ash, and then it gets up against the house or the garage or the deck, and then can catch fire from there. So you have to make sure you properly dispose of your ashes, or wait until they're completely cooled before you dispose of them.
That's really good to know. So, and anything else that you see that you've seen a lot?
I think those things are the trendy stuff that stuff that trends the most.
Maybe also dryer fires.
Dryer fires is another one. Clogged dryer vents.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Birds' nests, or even just kind of lint from over the years if you have an older home. And it's to make sure you clean out that lint trap every time you use the dryer. And then you can go out back. You can check if your dryer vent where it comes out is accessible. You can at least look inside. We looked inside my own house, and there was a bird's nest in there a couple years ago.
Wow.
So we had to get that netting for the front of it so no critters can get in there.
Yeah. I once had a bird's nest in, I think, my son's bathroom, and when we were afraid to turn the vent on because we didn't want them to be harmed. So we waited until they flew away
Before anything.
But yeah, like, forget that they can get in there, and that can cause a problem. So I know you're a mother of 2 children, 2 girls, and which is wonderful that you're a firefighter and a mother, and thank you for being such a great role model. And so, what would you say to families with children that how would you help them be prepared, or what they should know?
Start just as early as you can with fire safety, and you can start with the I mean, as early as 2 or 3 years old when they're just starting to walk and talk.
Like what kind of
not
things?
touching lighters, not touching matches, what is hot, what's, just anything dangerous, anything that is just basic. Your stove is hot, the pot is hot, the lighter, is dangerous, like Mr. Yuck kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They just start as early as you can.
Yeah, that's really
and,
important.
Lock up stuff that is dangerous to kids. If you have chemicals and, whatever in the cabinets, then put the locks on the cabinets so they can't get to that kind of stuff. But also, don't just hide it out of sight, out of mind. Also teach them why they shouldn't touch any of that stuff.
No, that
I would
is,
say this is the biggest thing.
that's important. First of all, teach them and then put the locks on so they can't get to it. But sometimes, you may leave it open by accident, so you want them to know that.
To know that it's, yep.
Yeah.
And the National Fire Protection Association and a lot of other departments, FEMA and so on, have found that children as young as 3 or 4 years old can effectively learn and remember fire escape planning. So if it can be a family activity, you can sit down, draw a drawing of the house and the layout of the house and say, here's mommy and daddy's room, here's the children's room,
Oh,
and so on.
interesting.
And this is the way we would get out, and here's the tree in the yard or the mailbox or the driveway where we would go to meet outside, and then have a drill and actually practice that. So again, what Karen said is nailing it. Start as young as you can.
Yeah. Do you have information out there for, about that, like for young families?
Yeah, Montgomery County Fire and Rescue. Our website is mcfrs.org/mcsafe, Montgomery County Safe. And on that site, there's information for parents and caregivers, for children, for seniors.
So there's a lot. So if somebody's interested in maybe figuring out how to approach their children and what to say, that there's information out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really key.
And also, what do you think? Bring them by the fire station?
Yeah, your families are welcome anytime to knock on the door.
Oh,
and
great idea.
We'll show them the fire engines and the ambulance and go over a little bit of fire safety stuff and show them what we do.
Yeah, and you do free fire safety checks, right, in homes? If people are interested, is that?
Yeah, absolutely. We can, if you call 311, they'll get you in touch with us, or it's on the website as well.
And you can schedule it?
We schedule the home safety checks, and we'll go through and we'll check your smoke detectors. We'll make sure they're in working order.
Oh, that's good to know.
We'll make sure they're within the proper date because they do expire. A lot of people don't know that there's, no matter if it's the 10-year sealed battery or the 9-volt or 2 AA's, they all expire after 10 years, no matter what.
That's such a wonderful service that you provide, and it's so important, and I think most of us don't even know you do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We go over a lot of fire safety stuff. We go over exit plans, stuff that, a lot of people, they just don't know, and we're happy to go out and teach it.
So can you tell us about, maybe some dramatic firefighting experience that you had? You want to share that?
Sure. Let's see. What do we have?
We don't just do fires. We do all level of rescues. Several years ago, when I was a battalion chief for Montgomery County, on River Road in Bethesda, River Road turned into a river. We had a massive water main break. It was a 66-inch water main, and we had about a dozen cars and even a bus that got stuck on a giant hill, which turned into an icy river. And between firefighters and fire trucks, boats, helicopters, we had to rescue about a dozen people from that. It was quite the story.
Well, we really, really appreciate everything that you do, and big thank you from my family and from all of us for all that you do, and for all the firefighters in this area and nationwide as well. Thank you for your service. So give us your website, so if people want that information, can you give that to us again?
Sure. Again, it's www.mcfrs.org/mcsafe.
Okay. All right, and let me just ask you, if there's one thing that you do for fire safety, like you do personally, like Karen, what's the one thing that you would do?
If I could do one thing?
Yeah, if you could just do one thing, or that.
I would say to close your bedroom door when you sleep.
Oh.
That'd probably be a big one. The difference in between what could be outside of just a builder's grade door and your bedroom, it can literally be 1,000 degrees in the hallway and 100 degrees in your room.
Wow.
And I would say
That's really
shutting
good
the
to
bedroom door is
know.
probably the biggest one, because that anybody can do that. Kids, adults, elderly, anybody can do that.
That's great. Thank you. And real quick, do you have one?
Nira, I'm going to say exactly what
Yeah.
Karen said. Sleep with your bedroom doors
I
closed.
didn't even know that. That's such a great tip.
Have those working smoke detectors. And we want to thank you so much for inviting us to be part of this and being able to get the word out to the community.
Oh, thank you. Thank you again for everything that you do. And it's so important, for us to be safe so that we can be healthy and happy. And so thanks again for watching. I'm Nira Berry, your host. And stay tuned for my next segment of What's Good to Know. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Nira Berry, the happiness coach, and your host of Happy and Healthy. And as part of my series on success at life and at work, and generally winning at life, I want to talk to you about generosity. And it's, think about it. Are you a generous person? Are you generous with your time? Are you generous with money? Are you generous with ideas? Because if you are, then maybe you're happier than most people. Studies show that people that are generous really make a happier person in general. University of Zurich found that there was really a connection between happiness and selfless acts of giving to others, and it really activates the brain, the part that's linked to contentment. It really makes you feel happier. And so I recommend to my clients to be more generous, whether or not you're volunteering or giving of your money or yourself, it really brings that pleasant feeling that behavioral economics call that warm glow. So just to become, you don't have to become self-sacrificing like a martyr just to feel happier. You could just give a little bit more, like maybe volunteer as a firefighter, or maybe donate some more money to like a very worthy cause. And you'll see that will really bring up your levels of happiness. So let me know what works for you. I'm Nira Berry, the happiness coach, and you can reach me at info@niraberry.com. And I hope you enjoyed this program. And I'm the host of Happy and Healthy, and I hope you have a happy day.